So if you're in India and you've ever tried to get a loan, a credit card, or maybe even a new job, you've definitely come up against the gatekeeper, your CIBIL score. It's just a number, but it holds this incredible power over your financial life. But have you ever stopped to wonder where this thing, this judge of your financial character, actually came from? Because the answer is probably not what you think. Now, you might think this story starts in a bank, or maybe some modern fintech office in Bengaluru, but you'd be wrong. This story actually starts with one of the biggest, most powerful monopolies in history, John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil. Yep, the company that would one day have the final say on your CIBIL score started its life as a holding company for a railroad tank car business, a direct descendant of that massive Standard Oil empire. So think about that jump from hauling oil around America in the 19th century to today, where the same entity acts like an invisible hand, deciding the financial fate of hundreds of millions of people in India. It has a say in who gets to buy a home, who can start a business, and who gets to chase their dreams. So the big question is, how on earth did this happen? How did a piece of an old American industrial empire become the ultimate decider of financial life in modern India? That's exactly what we're going to unpack. And let me tell you, this story has it all. Wall Street giants, controversial data pioneers, and a series of very quiet, very strategic corporate moves. Okay, so let's first look at what's happening in India right now. CIBIL isn't just a score you check online. It's an institution. It's this powerful, unseen judge that most of us know by name, but have no idea what's really going on behind the scenes. And the scale here is just mind-blowing. We're talking 650 million people. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire population of North America. One single company holds the financial history, the reputation of all these Indian citizens. It's the biggest collection of financial behavior data in the nation's history, all in one place. Okay, so who is this company, really? We all call it CIBIL, right? Sounds totally Indian. But that, it turns out, is not the whole story. Not even close. So let's pull back the curtain. It turns out the company we all call CIBIL is actually named TransUnion CIBIL. And that first part, TransUnion, that's the key. It's an American multinational corporation, and it owns a whopping 92% of CIBIL. So what started as an Indian company is now, for all intents and purposes, American-owned. And look, this didn't just happen overnight. This was a slow, very strategic takeover. When CIBIL was set up back in 2000 by all the big Indian banks, TransUnion was in the room right from the start, providing the secret sauce, the algorithm. By 2010, they'd become the majority owner. And by 2016, those original Indian shareholders, almost completely gone. All right, to really get a handle on the company that's holding all your data, we need to rewind way back, because its origins have absolutely nothing to do with credit scores. It's a story about railroads, oil, and the birth of a data monster. So get this. It all started back in 1968 as a holding company for a railroad business, with roots deep in Standard Oil. Just 1 year later, it made its first big move into data, buying a credit bureau that had 3.6 million paper files. Over the decades, it was bought and sold by huge financial players like the Pritzker family and even Goldman Sachs. But here's where things get really wild. In 2014, it acquired a company called TLO, and that move supercharged its data-gathering powers. That company, TLO, was founded by a guy they call the father of data fusion. So what on earth is data fusion? Well, imagine a technology that can hoover up all these tiny, separate bits of information about you from all over the place, and then stitch them all together. It creates this incredibly detailed digital version of you, of your entire life. And let's be clear, this isn't just about your loan payments. We're talking about something way bigger. This tech gives TransUnion access to your phone records, your utility bills, any criminal records. They can even track your car's movements. It's basically a private intelligence gathering machine. So when you're holding that much personal, sensitive data on 650 million Indians, you'd think the security would be like Fort Knox, right? You'd hope so. Well, that brings us to the really dark side of this whole story. What happens when that security completely fails? Because in 2022, a massive leak happened. Hackers got in and started selling live, real-time CIBL reports on the dark web. I mean, think about that. The complete personal and financial data, PAN numbers, addresses, everything of about 6 to 7 million Indians was suddenly for sale. But what's maybe even more shocking is the official response. For this gigantic breach of trust, the RBI fined TransUnion CIBIL just over 1 crore rupees. For a company pulling in hundreds of crores in profit, that's not a penalty, that's a rounding error. It's literally pocket change. And you'd think that would be the end of it, but no, the problem hasn't gone away. It's absolutely insane, but right now, today, you can go on messaging apps like Telegram and buy someone's full live credit report with their PAN, their Aadhaar, their address, everything for as little as 70 rupees. So you've got to be asking, how is this even possible? How is it still happening? Well, the system gives hundreds of partners, banks, lenders, you name it, direct access. The login details for these partners get stolen and they're traded in the underworld like digital keys. Criminals just use them to pull live reports whenever they want. And the crazy part, this fundamental flaw in the system, it's still there. Which brings us to a really provocative, kind of chilling argument from our source material. What if these huge ongoing security failures aren't just an accident? What if they're a feature of the system, not a bug? You know, there are some really basic security measures that are just standard practice for this kind of thing. Stuff like only allowing access from approved IP addresses or requiring physical security keys for partners. But here's the thing, these measures aren't mandatory. And what's the result? Exactly what you'd expect, massive ongoing data leaks. And this is where we get to the core idea. Think about it. Every single time a credit report is pulled, whether it's by a real bank or some criminal on Telegram, the company makes money. Ka-ching. It doesn't matter who's asking for the data. From a purely financial point of view, the system is working exactly as it's supposed to. And the numbers? Oh, the numbers tell the whole story. In just 1 year, TransUnion CIBIL made 2,200 crore rupees in revenue and 700 crore in profit. And that's just from Indian data. When you're making that kind of money, what's the real business incentive to spend a fortune fixing a system that, from a profit perspective, is already working perfectly? So when you connect all these dots, what are you looking at? This is way more than just a credit bureau. Our source material argues that this is, effectively, the most powerful private intelligence agency operating on Indian soil today. It knows more about the financial lives of Indians than pretty much anyone, and it operates with very little real oversight. So we end up right back where we started. A company born from the ashes of the Standard Oil empire now holds the financial dreams of 650 million Indians in its hands. Your data is the raw material that fuels its incredible profits. And with security that seems to be an afterthought, it leaves us with one very important question. Who's actually in control here?